Okay. Again, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the webinar of today, the English section. Actually, this is also my first time to go through the slide, so actually we are going through the slide together. Okay, so yes, again, welcome in everyone, and good morning. Next slide. Okay, so for this today webinar, we will go through on how to set up the e-invoice setting to enable it on our system, and how I will expand a little bit on how the e-invoice transaction flow works, and how do we submit and check the submission, is it valid or is it invalid, or how to handle the document, everything. So this is the few topic we will go through, as you can see on the screen. Okay, so first, how e-invoice works. Okay, so basically it's like whoever are doing the supply of the goods, they have to issue the e-invoice to the buyer. So this is roughly what is the flow are, but this is not the flow of our side. This is the flow of like how the government side handling. This as it's not related to our system, but this is the general flow of the government. So I will skip this part. But basically, it's just like whoever are selling the goods, they have to issue the invoice and wait for the validation. You will get notification when the e-invoice is get validated. You can share the QR code where you can check whether the e-invoice is successful or rejected or something. Yeah. Also, you can check the history on the MyInvoice portal. Okay, for our software part, okay, so how our smart e-invoice work. So at first you have to assign us as your intermediary, where we submit your e-invoice on behalf of you using our account. We are submitting your B2C cash use, your self-bill, where we also have self-bill solution. We also allow third-party integration. Like let's say if you are using others' POS system, but your POS system does not providing e-invoice submission, yes, you can integrate with us. We link to LHDN. For whoever start on January next year's, you have 6 month consolidated grace period. So it's mentioning here where if you start on July, you should have also 6 month consolidated period until end of the years lah. Okay. You also can submit your e-store sales, your B2B sales, and by right marketplace sales, you doesn't need to submit lah, because your marketplace should have helped you to handle it already. Yeah. Yeah, so again, this is how the process work, where about auto count accounting, the marketplace, the inventory is linked directly to our Dynamod, and where third party is go through our SAP, Smart E-Invoice platform. Whole system also is go through our SAP, and our Dynamod will communicate with the LHDN to send the validation and get the validation status. So this is our success case we already implement, which they start using on the October this year. Okay, some important information to share with you before you can start using the e-invoice. Something to take note is make sure you check your Dynamod version. Is it like at least it was 2024.3 build 0, and at least had hotfix 2, but hotfix 3 or 4 is like best advisable lah. This is the best one. Yeah. And for Touch Pro or Touch FMP, if you're using both, make sure it was at least 2024.3 build 6. For Dynamo version, you can view it on the login screen, or after you log in, you look at your top left on the title, application title, it should have mentioned what was the version you're currently using. Yeah, and for the post, you only can view it on the login screen below the number pad. On the login screen below the number pad, it should have showing the version. If your Dynamod or Touchpad version is not at least this version 2024.3, if you know how to update the version yourself, you can proceed it. If you doesn't know, you can contact to help desk to like make an arrangement schedule for them to help you to proceed the update. Yeah, also, you have to make sure your Dynamod license have a valid e-invoice module has been subscribed. This one you may inquiry with your salesman. Yeah, your salesman should be know whether you has been successfully subscribed our e-invoice module already. Yeah, so for Dynamo e-invoice maintenance and validation, we will have to send some few setting we need to proceed first before we can start submitting the document. Okay, for first thing first, of course, we have to enable the e-invoice setting. After that, we need to set up our own company information, like our company information. Also, we have the information have to copy to each of the location. There's a special rare case where one company, their different location, but actually the different location is working under different company name. This special case, but most of it is just like copy paste. That means like all location outlet is actually under the same company. Of course, when we want to submit the document, we must have our customer or supplier info as if self bill. You need their info to key in. Some of the item you might need to fill in the classification code. Something like hardware shop, maybe when because you are selling some building material, some of the specific material that government trying to do tracking, they will need to do tracking. So you need to assign a classification code for it. But what product is under this require to have classification code? This one you may have to inquiry with your tax agent. Yeah, so we also have some e-invoice utility tool to help you to update your customer and supplier e-invoice information faster by using Excel. Okay, so first thing first, of course, we have to enable our e-invoice setting. So based on the screen, you can see we have to, after you log in Dynamod, you have to go to Common Module, go to Setup, and go to Company Default Setting. After that, you will open this company system setting. You can go to number 5, e-invoice, enable e-invoice Malaysia. You want to change the date from where the date is from the date your business is starting to use the e-invoice. Let's say if you're starting on next year, January, so you have to change it to 11/2025. If you're starting on next year, July, so you can change to 17/2025. The effective to date, because we doesn't know when suddenly whether the government will suddenly like say we don't need e-invoice anymore. So we just put it all the way until future 3000 year. And below here we don't need to change, just leave it default because those are the government specific setting. We just leave it there just in case government, U-turn. So we have an option to like change the setting. Okay, after you have enabled the e-invoice, the next thing is you need to set up the connection for our Dynamo connect to the LHDN. The connection is actually very simple, but still this step you have to do it. Yeah. On the main screen, after you log in Dynamo, on the main screen, you should saw e-invoice Malaysia. After that, you click in, you can go to e-invoice store. Also, you can access it by the start menu we're having on the bottom left. Go to number 7, E-Invoice Malaysia, set up E-Invoice Store. Oh, sorry, just now, after you click E-Invoice Malaysia, you're supposed to go to setup first, and then you can click E-Invoice Store. Okay, because this is a new module. As in a new module, every time when you upgrade to new version, where there is a new module, you must enable the permission first. So actually, you should go to Common Module, System Security, System User Group, highlight your administrator group, More, access right configure, and you need to allow to access E-Invoice Malaysia. If not, when you're trying to access this button, it will prompt that you have no access. Because this is a new module, you have to enable it. Okay, after you have clicked the E-Invoice Store, you will come to this page. E-Invoice Store page, you just need to create a new record, fill in, give it a store ID. Actually, you just like key in HQ, description also HQ, also can, no problem. And after that, you need to click more. Depends you're trying to do it as a actual production live data, then you have to use set production URL. Or if you're trying to do some testing first before the E-Invoice start on January, you have to set it to sandbox URL. But if you're trying to set up a sandbox URL, there is some extra step you need to do. There is on different slide of PPT, where we doesn't talk about it on here. Yeah, so if you did need to set up a sandbox, maybe you have to inquiry with your salesman for it. Okay, so for the actual production, you need to click this set production URL. After that, you can click more again and click set intermediary configuration. Okay. After that, also you need to remember below here, you need to change it. The client login option, you need to change to intermediary system. Because if you did not change it, by default it was showing, it was highlighting this taxpayer system, which means you are actually submit the sales yourself instead of we helping you to submit, where this is totally different kind of configuration. You also have to pay extra 2,000 per year for the government because of the certificate kind of thing. So if you're using our E-Invoice service, usually that means you are letting us to help you submit on behalf of you. So you should use the intermediary system lah. So you have to click this. Okay. So basically, click new, store ID, description. Also effective date. Effective date, you need to change to the date that you start using the system. If you are trying to use a sandbox, that means the effective date is as soon as possible lah. If you're setting this as a production, it's supposed to be the actual starting date. Okay, so after that, change to intermediary system, this tick, and then click more, set intermediary configuration. After you click this set intermediary configuration, you have to wait, even though it have to be 1 minute or 5 minutes, you have to wait. It's because the moment after you click it, it actually trying to connect to server to capture a unique ID for you. So after you get the ID, it will show here, client ID and client secret automatically. If this two is blank, you shouldn't click save first. You need to wait until client ID and client secret showing, then only you can click save to save this record. Okay. So once you have E-Invoice Store set up done, next thing you need to do is you need to do E-Invoice project. It's just beside the E-Invoice Store just now at the main menu, E-Invoice project. If you're on the menu, is the E-Invoice Malaysia setup and E-Invoice project. So just now we're on the store, now we go to project. At this screen also almost the same. You just create a really basic lah. You just create a new record, project ID and description. You can just write it as HQ, no problem. Effective date, again, you have to fill in. If you are doing sandbox, of course, as soon as possible, as today, or effective date is starting of next year, January or July, sorry. Okay. After that, store ID. You can click this three little dot. It will prompt a screen. Supposedly inside only have one record because you just now just created one E-Invoice store. So you just select the record, it will be selected, and then you can click populate task. After that, the task ID will be auto-generated. You don't need to change anything. Just click populate. After that, you can click save. Simple as it. Okay, after that, we can, okay, basically that's the first basic setting. We still have other basic setting we need to set, like for our company thing, those are later on. Okay, so what is the intermediary and how to set us as your intermediary in MyInvoice portal? Yes, you need to go to MyInvoice portal to set us to like give us the permission to help submit the e-invoice on behalf of you. But how to do it? Um, okay, actually, this explanation now is in intermediary. Actually, LHDN provide us two methods to submit the e-invoice. One is by manually go by through the MyInvoice portal. You have to submit manually one by one, or by API integration, where by using in the API integration, you are either using like us, assign us as an intermediary and use our software to help you push the data to LHDN, or you have to register yourself, like just now that taxpayer thing, like you need to buy a cert with government and then um, submit it your own self, but actually you're still using the API we have designed, just like two different methods. But yeah, we're actually using API method for now, where because you're using our Dynamod system. Okay, how to give us permission to help you submit invoice on behalf of you. You have to go to mytaxhasil.government.my, log in your boss account, not your own account, not your personal account, but your boss account, the owner of the company. After that, you can click the profile logo on the top right and click View Taxpayer Profile. Okay. After that, you will go to the screen where will show some of your company information. You can go to left side, Manage Profile, Taxpayer Profile. So here will show your own personal or the company information here on the top. Just ignore it. On here, intermediary status is blocked. This one is normal actually. You just ignore it. That means like your company actually you are not a software house. You are not doing like you are not helping others people to submit their invoice on behalf of them. So it's showing block. This is normal. So no worries. So to set us as your uh to allow us to submit invoice on behalf of you, you can go to below here, click intermediary. By default, it will showing user. You have to click this intermediary, and then you click add intermediary on the right side. Yeah, after you click, it will ask you to fill in some info. So this is the info you need to key in, like our team number, our BRN, and our company name. Take note on our company name there. Do not key in the dot behind. Yeah, do not key in the dot behind. Just mark SEC Solutions with S, Sembilan Berhad without the dot. And then you can click search. But just in case, after you key in these three info, but when you click search, it does not show, like it does not able to find our company. You can key in our company name like this, S triple X underscore, and then 4X DN PhD. Because it is like the government side thing, they're trying to like masking the company name. This is just happened recently. Yeah. So maybe when you're using this method, you should be able to find our company info. Okay. So once the company info is showing, the status is active. That means that the system managed to find our company. Then you can click continue. After you click continue, you have to set we can the permission for us to submit the document on behalf of you from when, starting from when. So as soon as possible lah. Even though you might start using it on next year June, but you can still set it as today, no problem, because it won't work until the day your company is allowed to submit e-invoice. Okay, so you can just leave it as soon as possible and represent to, you have to set this to until future, because we doesn't know the e-invoice will last until which year. So you have to just set it as future as possible. After that, you need to enable the permission, all four of it below here. If you're missing any one of the tick while we submit the document on behalf of you, we might get rejection from their side. Yeah, so all of these have to be enabled. Okay, after that, you can click Add Intermediary. when you successfully add us as your intermediary, you should saw this screen. Under just now the intermediary page, you will saw our company name, PIN number, BRN. We can submit your sales on behalf of use from when until when. And if you scroll it to the right, you will see the status is active. So means you have successfully assigned us to help you submit your sales. Okay, next thing. Yeah, this is where just now I'm trying to mention. Other that we have to enable the e-invoice, we have to set up the e-invoice store, the e-invoice project, and we also must have to set up our company info, of course. So company info and location info actually and basically the same thing lah. We actually do need to like key in one by one on your location. Like maybe some of the customer, you have multiple outlet, you have a lot of location. Don't worry, you do not need to key in your location info, the information of your company to your location one by one again. There is a button to like one click copy all. You just need to set up on your company. Okay, so what info is need to key in on your company there is your registration name, and your company PIN number, your business SSN number, but the new one, not the one with like dash alphabet behind, just the pure digit one, the new one. The SST number if you have tax, tourism tax number if applicable, your contact number, supposedly contact number is your accountant number lah. So just in case anything happen, LHDN should contact who? Your email to receive the e-invoice, inform any notification. So supposedly also your accountant. If best try to assign a email that for the accountant department instead of personal email. If just in case your accountant resign, then the email no people to access again. So if using accountant department, yeah, anyone can have the access like the account can be passed on. Yeah, better lah. This for future proof. Okay, MSIC code. Your MSIC code can be get it from your MyInvoice portal. Your business activity description, supposedly the moment when the company is being registered, SSN, they already ask you like what your business trying to do, what business you're trying to do. There's a description there. You can like copy it and your company address, of course. Okay. For the contact number, yes. Contact number for the latest information I get, actually you do need to start with 6. You can straight away like 03 and then something something, or 01 something 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 behind also can, no problem. But try not to put any symbol on it. No symbol, no spacing, just pure number. But you don't have to start with stick. Just start with 0 is okay. Yeah, so for your MSIC code, where you can get it, okay, there's a link to show you the template from government from here, or your taxpayer income tax return form should have show it also. Your company SSN number should have your MSIC code as well. And the template, you also can view it on our system where you can go to E-Invoice Malaysia, set up E-Invoice code table and E-Invoice MSIC. So this is the template. It's not this is the template that provided from government. We just follow them. Yeah, but in a rare case, just in case the moment when you're trying to select the MSIC code from the list in our system, it doesn't have the code that your company currently using. You can actually add the MSIC code in our system manually. You can add it manually, no problem. Okay, so next. Yeah, so this one is a step for configure your company info to our Dynamod, where you have to go to common module, setup, company, edit info. I mean, after you click the company the screen, you should click edit info first. Because we already enabled the invoice function earlier, the step. So now you can see there's an extra tab, E-Invoice. You can click E-Invoice, and this is the place where you have to key in your information here. Your company register name. Do follow your SSN there. Some company they have a dot behind per heart. Follow it. The dot is important. If you have the dot on your SSN, follow. If your SSN doesn't have the dot, you can just skip it lah. You don't purposely put the dot where your SSN don't have it, and you don't miss the dot if your SSN have it. Yeah, so this kind of important. Okay, so your T number, your company register for sure it will be BRN lah, by SSN number. So this is your SSN number, the pure digit one. Okay, below here you have to repeat again. On top is BRN, so below here you also have to fill in BRN again. It's the same SSN number. SST registration number. If your company have SST, you can fill in here. Let's say if your business have sales tax and service tax, you just key in either one of it, whichever tax that you use the most, because you just fill in here. So tourism tax, if you are doing this kind of business, you have it, then you can key in. If not, just leave it NA. Yeah, by default, our system will fill in NA for you, but if you have it, you have to change it. So email, yeah, just now we did mention email, put your accountant department, your MSIC code. When you're trying to change it, make sure you delete the wording here first. The wording here you have to delete, then only you click the three dot. Okay, so after click the three dot, it will show a list of available MSIC ID that provided by LHDN. Just in case you did not found the MSIC ID you need, you can actually click add new record on bottom left, just like the other function. So you can key in the ID yourself, no problem. So after that, your business activity description, you have to key in here, and the contact number. Again, you don't need to start with numbers, don't need to start with 6. You just straight away 03 or 01 something, and you are only allowed to key in one number. Same goes to email, only one. Only one email, one contact number. Cannot multiple. Okay. Address line 0 is most important thing, so you have to key in here your company address line 0. This is actually line 1, and then line 2. Usually the address end with line 3, where you will see something like 47100 Puchong, Selangor. So for that, you have to split it. So the 5-digit number actually is your postal zone, and then the name behind the postal zone is actually the city name, and after the comma, that one is your state ID, but the state is by ID. So you need to delete the wording here and click the three dot so that you can select the state in the list if you have their own ID inside. Yeah, but some of the company, maybe your address, the place you're located at, maybe the address is 4 line, so you may have 1, 2, 3 line, and the last line is split out like this. Yeah, so once you are done, you can set the record. If you want to test whether the TIN number you key in and the registration number you key in is matched or correctly, you can click this little star icon on the behind. So if you like try to validate for you, if you don't click it here, it's okay. We have other places to click it. We will mention about it later on. Yeah. It's actually a send screen. You just like scroll down a little bit. So it mentioned here about the postcode, the city name, your state ID. After you select state ID, your country ID automatic show. Yeah. And for those info, just in case you don't have the info, just put it NA, 00 for the state ID, or 50 for your MSIC ID. Yeah. Location, yes. So just now we did mention, if you have a lot of location, no worries. You just okay, sorry, one by one. Okay, we go to common module, go to setup, go to location. So after you will open a screen where you can see all of your location inside, you just go to one of it, edit, then you can click the clipboard on the right side. it will straight away copy all your company information over to all your location. Instead of just have to fill in one by one again everything, you just click the clipboard icon. So it will copy all of your company information to all your location. That's it. So you no need to like verify again. Basically, if your company information is correct, then all the information copy over will be correct as well. Okay, skip. Okay, supplier, buyer, and their information. Of course, we have key in our information. Of course, we need to key in our supplier and our buyer information also lah. That means like B2B buyer, or supplier to supplier also B2B lah, actually. Okay. So the information we need to key in actually is same as our company, but this is their info. So basically the same. We no need to go through everything again. Yeah. How do we key in those information? If you're trying to manually key in it in the system, you can just go to the setup. Like example, if you're trying to do the supplier one, you just go to supplier module, setup, supplier, search for your supplier, edit, scroll down, you will see an E-Invoice tab. So click on the tab, then you can fill in the info. But actually for supplier, usually you doesn't need to fill in their info because you do need to issue E-Invoice to your supplier. Your supplier should be the one issue E-Invoice to you because they sell you the goods. But why we allow you to key in here? Because maybe your supplier does not entitle for E-Invoice or they didn't enroll to E-Invoice special case, or maybe like the yearly revenue is less than 250K, I believe that's the last info, or your supplier is stuck on July. You start on January, but your supplier start on July. So the first 6 months, you have to submit self-bill invoice to your own self. But after on July, you can untick it and let supplier submit the invoice back to you instead of you submit it as self-bill invoice. Okay. So you can get your supplier information, you have to fill in basically the same thing as our own company. Their company name, their TIN number, PRN for sure, and then their SSN number. Just in case the supplier was represent as personal, then it will be NRIC, not PRN. NRIC is personal, and then registration number is the IC number. Okay. After that, basically the same info below here, fill in. Basically the same thing. Yeah, we just get it and then we fill in here. Yeah. Yeah, you just like highlight the step ID again and skip this. It's actually the same with our company. For our customer, yeah, it's also the same information where you key in here. Also like the company name, the TIN number, registration number, their SSD or tourism tax, their email, NSIC, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, the one thing is as if this customer ID maybe is your marketplace ID, as if your business use marketplace. You should no need to fill in anything inside here. Just tick not applicable. That means any invoice created under this customer shouldn't have submit invoice to LHDN. If not, you are double entry already. Because where you go through marketplace, the marketplace should have helped you to submit invoice on behalf of you already. Okay, so for your online store, it's different. The one just now I mentioned is marketplace. Marketplace there will help you to maintain. But your online store actually is your considered as your outlet, but it just sold online. So is you shouldn't tick enable not applicable. You have to submit. Yeah. But that one if slightly different step later on. Okay. So let's continue first. Just in case your buyer or your supplier was not from Malaysia, you can actually use the general TIN number. When you key in the invoice information, of course, we will have their company name, right? So their TIN number, we can just click the T behind. General TIN 10, 20, 30, or 40. So each of it is for a different purpose lah. For non-Malaysia, if it was your buyer from non-Malaysia, then you have to use GT20. If they supply stock to you, then you can use GT30. Yeah, for government department that purchase with you, you can use GT40. And for general, this one GT10 is for you to submit the consolidate. Yeah. Okay, so now we are talking about our e-invoice utility tool where we have a function to help you to do the validation for your company, your location, your customer and supplier. So this is for before we submit any document to LHDN, we can use this validation to check whether the information the customer or your supplier provide to us or our own information, I mean our company information that we just key in, whether it's correct or not. We can use this validation to check it. Also, we have a tools to help to let you able to update your customer e-invoice information and supplier e-invoice information by using Excel. So we have this bug update tool. We will talk about it now. Okay, so for the company or location team validation, you can go to e-invoice Malaysia, transaction, taxpayer team validation. Yeah, taxpayer team validation. When you, as example, for company, after you click in, if you did not see any record below, click refresh data on the top left so that your company should be showing out here. Then you can right click, submit for taxpayer team validation. It will straight away connect to LHDN, check for the result, and then return to you to let you know whether the information you just key in is validate or not validate. If not validate, then you have to check, is it after when you copy paste your TIN number or your SSN number, is it there is a spacing behind it, so yes, remove it, or there's a tiny little dot behind you did not notice, so remove it. So after you edit your amend your record again, then you can come back this screen and right click validate again to double check it. Once your company validate has been passed, so by right, when we click the clipboard icon to copy to the location, when you come to location screen, you can highlight all by click Control A, CTRL A. If you highlight all, you can right click, submit for taxpayer team validation. It will all validated as well because your location is using your company info. Your company already validate success, by right your location also will validate success lah, because it's using the same info. But if just in case it show not validated, then something wrong. You have to like go through the checking again. If you're not able to solve it, then you know who you should call lah, the support team. For customer and supplier, yes, we also can do validation for it after you have updated it manually in the system directly, or you use just now we mentioned, the bug update tool, by import with Excel. After you import, you can also come to this screen by customer or by supplier. You can go to not validated, so you no need to resubmit those already validated. Go to not validated. Also, sorry, just in case all the records is zero, click refresh data. So you will get your customer information or your supplier information. Then you go to not validated, Control A, CTRL A. So highlight all, right click, submit for text validation. So it will try to like validate all of it. When you have too much of customer record here, it might take a little bit time. So maybe you can do it when you're going out for lunch, you just leave it running there. Yeah. Okay. So for your supplier, is the same step as well. You open the screen, click refresh data, go to not validated, Control A to highlight everything, right click, submit for validation. For the bug update, yes, this is the part where we use Excel to update your customer and your supply info. You can go to E-Invoice Malaysia. At the Dynamod screen, go to E-Invoice Malaysia, setup, utility. Then you will have these three buttons. Actually, you should only use customer and supplier because your location can one-click copy from the company, so you don't need this. Okay, so for customer and supplier, after you click it, it will open the same screen. No, actually not the same screen. The same looking screen. Okay, and then you need to select your format ID. If you're doing customer one, when you click format ID, you should only saw customer invoice. When you click the supplier one, when you click format ID, you should only saw supplier invoice. It doesn't show both. Yeah, you only can select either one of it. Okay, after you select, let's say we are doing the customer one, and then you can click export data. It will ask you, are you sure you want to do export now? It might take a while. Click yes. It will generally generate a list for you to let you preview first what will be export. After that, you can click confirm, and then it will ask you where you want to save your Excel. After you have saved the Excel, you can straight away edit the Excel, like fill in the customer information inside or your supplier information inside. Once the Excel is done, come back to the same screen. If you already close it, if you open this screen again by clicking here on the Dynamod main menu, make sure you select Format ID first. Make sure you select Format ID first, then only you click Browse File and look for your Excel. The data will load out here on the input, and then you can click Process. It may take a while if your customer record is like, depends on your business. If you have a lot of customer, then it will take a while lah. You can click Process and then wait for it. When it's done running 100%, it will let you know whether is there any issue. If you show on error count, how many record having issue and how many will be success. Actually, you just have to have a look on the error count. If the error count is 0, that means your Excel is perfectly fine, no problem. Everything has been updated. So after you have done this step, you can go back to just now the validation, look for not validated, and then do the submission to like check, have a first time checking on their provided information first about the PIN number and their SSN number. So this is for our bug update 2. Oh, actually, they have a screenshot for it. Okay, so basically just like select your format ID, click export. Are you sure? Yes. So it will give you a list. You can click export data where you want to save your Excel. So after you done edit, then select format ID and select the browse file. This is a sample of the Excel template after you export. So actually inside, you can see the Excel column, the title of it is kind of straightforward as what you can see on the customer screen. Earlier, just now, we mentioned we have to fill in their registration number, their PIN number, their registration number. And if this is BRN, then you have to key in BRN also. Registration name, the E-Invoice origin name is their company name lah. Remember, if your Sambihan Berhaf have the dot behind, follow. Yeah. And then the text number, horizontal ID behind. There's a lot of row behind lah, so you can like have a look it on yourself. Yeah, so this one for import. Okay, for item, we have item classification ID and item text ID. Your chart or account also have the same thing, item classification ID or item text ID. So how do you set it? Okay, before that, okay, what is classification code? So classification code is to define the category of product you being service, bill or sell to customer. Maybe is something that government trying to keep track. Yeah. So there's a list on government website. We also have copy everything and list it on our system. We will update as well when government side update. Yeah, you can view it on here. Currently, there's only 45 category where while this PPT is being made. For set item classification ID on item, you can just go to inventory module, setup, stock, look for the stock, and you can edit. Go to E-Invoice, you will see this E-Invoice tab. Last time only until GL distribution. Now you have E-Invoice. Now then you can assign, you can change item classification ID to something else. By default, when you enable E-Invoice, we will make everything as 022, which means others means there's no code, no specific code for this product lah. others automatic. Just in case if this product you need to declare to government, you have to change it and select the correct classification ID. If the ID is not in the list, again, you can click add new record on the bottom left, not on the screenshot, it being cropped. So on the bottom left, you can click add record and add the classification ID yourself. The description doesn't matter, but I think the ID is most important. Yeah, if you have the ID but it's not in their list, you can add it yourself. For the item tax ID, also same. You can remove this 06, not applicable, remove it, and then select the three dot and select the item tax if applicable. For accountant wise, if your child account have this specific account code is have to special handler submit the info to government, you also can go to accounting module, set up child account, can click edit the record and change the item classification ID and the item text type. So that when you create your other payment voucher or your other receipt, the receipt or payment voucher can be submitted to LHDN. Okay, so we are going to the E-Invoice transaction flow. Yes. Okay, so E-Invoice transaction flow, there is few different type of document you have to handle. So the first one will be, of course, B2B or B2C, your e-commerce or your marketplace, how to handle your self-bill for overseas purchase or other transaction, or maybe, like I said, your supplier have not yet start e-invoice because they're starting on July, not the January. So you have to self-bill. And yeah, this I don't know how to read, sorry. So yeah, this thing, the claim thing, you need to how to handle it. I need bit transaction flow to let you know how our site handle the flow. Okay, so first we have to set up our product. The information will sync to our post. Let's say if you are using our post system, and then when you create any sales on the post, the sales will straight away sync to Dynamod. And then if you did using our post, the receipt will have a QR code for customer to self-service. They scan the QR code, they can fill in their information themselves. So this one should be covered later on. And we have a dashboard to let you see whatever document has been submitted, is it validated, approved, or rejected, or you manually cancel it or something. Yeah, we have the dashboard for it. We have a email function to let you know as a reminder whether trying to tell you not to forget to submit consolidated invoice. Transaction function to like what transaction can be submit e-invoice. So the basic 6 document, invoice, cash sales, CNDN, refund note is something new. And actually receipt also, but that one is I think it special case lah, as if. And then another self-bill invoice, self-bill credit note, debit note, and refund note. As if your supplier does not enroll for the invoice, you have to submit self-bill. If not, basically you just like submit the top one under customer module. Okay, so list of the rejection. Your customer can reject the invoice also if they decided to do it, like they deny the information that you just provided under them. But actually, when they submit, they should have a review the information themselves lah. This should be red case. They will reject it. Okay, but just in case if they reject, we have a place to view it. What document has been rejected? Okay. Invoice filing and submission. Consolidated. This is for consolidate invoice lah. Next one. Self-bill e-invoice. Yeah, self-bill you is okay. Type of the e-invoice there's 3 different kind of e-invoice. So first one, self-bill is your supplier does not able to provide you e-invoice. Like I said, they does not enroll to e-invoice or there wasn't having e-invoice now. There was later on batch 3. You have to submit self-bill first. Yeah. So what of the document you have to submit manually? Consolidate e-invoice is the one end of the month. End of the month, you combine everything that customer did not claim it. So you consolidate it and submit to LHDN directly. And e-invoice, this is the normal one. This is directly B2B or B2C. E-invoice workflow. So basically you just like create and submit, waiting for the validation. You will get a notification when the invoice is validated or rejected. I mean, cancel. I mean, reject like yes, reject by LHDN. Maybe some info inside is wrong, so they reject you. You will get a notification. If it approved, and then you will have a QR code, and you can share. They can scan it, and it will bring them to LHDN website and show the information like what document number, which company bill to which company, and the date, things like that. Yeah. Rejection or cancellation, as if they manually reject the invoice that already approved, they can reject it. Yeah. As if any, and then you also can get a summary of invoice already submitted at your MyInvoice portal after login with your boss account. Okay, so for e-invoice transaction flow retailer, where you how you handle B2B transaction and B2C transaction. Okay. For B2B transaction, basically is like where there is the sales come in, you key in the sales in our Dynamod and then use our Dynamod submit to LHDN. LHDN will return the data to let you know whether the invoice you submit is approved. But sometimes when you submit the invoice to LHDN, maybe LHDN side, their server is busy, you will not get the result directly. It will show validating, it's still pending. It's okay, you can check it back later on after half hour, 1 hour or more and see the letter status. Yeah, type of the invoice that we can submit. Here only cover for four. So we have the normal invoice. If we have any CN, then we will have credit note. If we have any DN, we have debit note. And just in case you just refund directly, we have refund note. There's a difference between refund note and credit note, where credit note you are supposed to link with invoice. Refund note is directly do it without the invoice. Maybe like the invoice is totally settled, there's nothing for you to like credit note, but end up you still have to maybe supplier return you something, so you can use refund note. Yeah, so the key difference between credit note and refund note, okay, is mentioned here. Like credit note, you sold 200, this is a sample, you sold 200 office chair and issue invoice, and 8 unit is 40. So you refund him the 8 unit only, you are issued credit note because there's no payment involved yet. But if you already sold you sold 200 office chair to customer, they already pay you. That means the invoice already settled. So you have nothing, you don't have any balance for knock off on CN. So you are straight away creating refund note, refund the amount to the company. It still affect your item quantity. It just that depends how you handle the amount of payment, the money. Yeah. If the invoice has not yet paid, you should use CN. If the invoice already paid, fully paid, then you should use refund note. That's the difference. For the refund note function, if you're using old version, you won't saw it. After you update to new version, it's on the same screen where you saw the credit note, it just beside it, refund note. Only appear on new version. If you are on the old version, you won't saw it. Okay, so sales invoice. This if you're doing a manual customer invoice, this is just a sample for you. How do you know whether the document has been submitted, accepted, or rejected, kind of thing? Okay, so usually when we create customer invoice, we are going to customer module, transaction, customer invoice. We create a new document, we key in their information, what item we sell, and after that, when you save, or even though you didn't save, you should notice that there's a new tab, E-Invoice. By default, it was showing open. This is the default setting. That means the document has been created but not ready to submit. This is for yourself to, after create the document, don't allow the system automatic submit first. So you will have a second level of people, like higher access right permission people, to like review the document first before they edit the document and change it to ready to submit, and let system submit the document automatically if you want to have control on it. Because if we let the system automatic ready to submit, that means your normal staff after create the invoice, they set the document, after let's say 15 minutes, system will automatically help you to submit, no matter the information inside is correct or wrong. So maybe on your business, your company flow, you have a second level of people who have to review the invoice that your staff created. So by default, it's open, so it doesn't submit. The second level people can review the data, the document first. If everything's fine, he can change to ready to submit and let the system handle it automatically. Of course, you also can trigger it manually. I think it will be covered later on. Yeah, so this is just a status thing. Yeah, if you scroll down a little bit, so because this is customer invoice, right? So customer information will automatically fill in here based on customer card file, as if you did maintain it nicely. If you did not maintain it, nothing will show here. There is something you need to take note. If you create the document first, then only you maintain your customer profile e-invoice info. The info won't be bring over to the document. The information only will bring over after you maintain your customer profile and then you create a document, not the other way around. Yeah, so if you did create document first, then only you, I forget to fill in this customer info, then I go to maintain my customer card file. Sorry, you need to come back to this document and fill in the same info yourself again, just this one time, because you create document before you maintain their card file. Yeah. Yeah. But if let's say you're trying to do the submission manually to make it faster, because like I said, we by default when you create a new document, it always on open. When whoever have higher position, higher level, they review the document, they make sure everything is okay. If you want to let system auto handle for you, you just change it to ready to submit, then save. Edit document, change to ready to submit, save. This is for let system auto handle for you. But let's say if you want to self handle it, you want to submit it as soon as possible, no problem. You can just go to more, E-Invoice action, submit document. A screen will be prompt. This is the information of the document. You just click submit. So our system will directly send this document information to LHDN. You will get the result within 10 seconds to 1 minute, depends on your internet speed or the LHDN server response speed. If validate success, you will straight away at the screen. Sorry, so the small screen, we just click right. E-Invoice action, submit document. This small screen, you actually can see the status on the top. New, submitted, but still pending for the result from LHDN, or LHDN already accept. Invalid means something wrong, so they reject the document, or cancel. For cancel, that means after valid, already valid, and then you request to cancel. As you can see, E-Invoice action here, you can cancel the document. Because any document after you have been submitted, it already valid or already submitted, you are not allowed to edit the document content. Like let's say you accidentally select the wrong item, you key in the wrong quantity, you key in the wrong unit price. As long you has been submitted or valid, invalid, you are not allowed to edit the document. But as long you are still within the 3 days, you can click more, E-invoice action, cancel document. You can request to cancel the document, but also you need to wait for LHDN to approve the cancellation. Once the status becomes cancelled, you can now edit the document, change the information inside, recorrect it, and then save the document. You can submit again, no problem. As long the document date are still within the 3 days. Okay. So like just now, if you submit to LHDN, it valid, so you can see it highlight to valid. And then you will get those UUID. Those are the unique ID. The government will keep for, I don't know, three to 6 months, really short period, or 3 years, if I remember wrong. Okay. So those link, LHDN will keep it temporarily. You can access the link anytime until they expire from LHDN side. Yeah, LHDN does not keep it 7 years for you. But yeah, we just follow them. Those are the info they provide us. Okay, so this screen, after validated, if you click OK, you close it. If you go back to the document bottom, you also have the status. It also telling you is validated success, everything, those information. And the title also will change. The title, E-Invoice validated success. So this title, right, is just now early. We create customer invoice, this title. So you can see is E-invoice ready to submit or E-invoice open new. It will become the E-invoice validated. It will change the title here. So you also can know. If you are not highlighting, if you are not highlight this tab, that maybe you're on the detail to view the item, this tab actually has color code. So if it was validated, it will be green color. So based on the color, you also know whether this document has been validated success or not. Read document, validate. Yeah, so when after the document has been validated successfully, this document will get a special UUID, just now we mentioned. So the UUID will show on the top on the document. This is our e-invoice template. Yeah, so the main important thing actually all 55 fields inside here actually is also important. But the main thing is the UUID, here this long random generated number and the QR code. By right on LHDN side, you are not allowed just to show the QR code and the UUID on your existing format. You are supposed to show everything that 55 column, 55 field that LHDN specified, you need to show it. So by right, you shouldn't like amend your current format and just add in this UUID and the QR. No, you have to do another way. You need to use your information and edit our e-invoice template to put your info inside here. Those info we're showing inside here is the info that LHDN require. You can change the position, the layout, everything, but you shouldn't remove any field of it, any field of here. So those fields are required by LHDN. So issue e-invoice, customer invoice. I'm sorry if this video have no audio, but we have a look how you can easily create a document and submit it. Yeah, so you see validate success, the name will change to green color. And then we have a e-invoice default report format. Oh, sorry for the video like running too fast. Yeah, but you can try it yourself if you have set up a sandbox account. Or if you want to see sample, you also can inquiry to your salesman. They should able to provide you some sample. Okay, so 72 hours rules. So this rule is set by LHDN. Whatever document you has been created, you have 72 hours to submit to LHDN. If after 72 hours, the document will be rejected, you are not allowed to submit it again. So what happened if you did not submit the document within 72 hours, it expired already? Or you did submit, but it get rejected. You did not know, you didn't have a look on it, and it get rejected. So what you can do is actually you need to do CN for it and then you need to issue invoice again. Yes, you open the CN for your customer. In within 72 hours, you fail to submit it, you fail to validate it, you have to open CN to that invoice and you have to create again. That means extra job for you, also extra job for your customer because they have to create key in 3 documents now. Yeah. So these some rules about it. Yeah. Cancellation transaction. As I mentioned earlier, if let's say after you submit, it was valid already, as you can see on the status, it was valid. But just in case you found out, hey, some of the item I key in the wrong item, I key in the wrong pricing, wrong quantity, I need to adjust the price, there's a discount, something like that. You can click more, e-invoice action, cancel document again, click on the prompt, click cancel document. It will asking you for a reason. You need to fill in the reason. So then this reason will be submit together with the document request sent to LHDN. And I'm not sure whether the LHDN side is like human verify manually, but if by computer, it should be auto approved. But if by human manually, then maybe they will have a chance to reject your request on the cancellation. But once the cancellation is success, you will now able to, it doesn't have a screenshot for it. So when the cancellation success, you will have, the status will become cancelled, then you can edit the document again. After you edit and make everything, you can resubmit the document again. Make sure everything is within 72 hours. Okay, for the credit note, also almost the same thing, but the most important part is when you create a credit note, you key in the item or you use the from import from customer invoice. If you're using the manual way, make sure you come to the knock off invoice here and knock off the CN amount to a specific invoice. Make sure to do it. This is how the CN works. You are supposed to have a CN knock off to specific invoice. If you just straight away doing a CN without knock off, by right now you should use the new refund note because there is no invoice involved. Yeah. So also same, you have their own status. By default, it always open. It always open. So the higher permission staff manager, they can review the document before they decided want to submit or not. Yeah. So about this, almost the same thing. Yeah. If created success, the link will convert to QR, those UUID things. And now we have a look on the credit note submission. Yeah, so if for credit note by right, you should knock off one of the invoice and submit. Process complete, so we straight away get the result. It's valid. Sometime after time's up, we did not get the status, it will become validating. We still have to wait. Lah. Sorry for the video a little bit too fast. I don't know how to pause it. Okay. So that is for the credit note. So for the refund note, it just involves payment, how the money goes up. Because it doesn't involve the invoice, so it involves the bank account straight away. Okay. Basically, it's the same thing, but instead of you select not off for the invoice, you have to select payment detail. And just like how you key in your payment voucher or customer receipt, you need to add a account code. Sorry, you need to add a payment method. Sorry, this screen. Payment method, which method and what is the amount? Because this is pure refund. It wasn't off to the OCN. Okay? But on here, you're asking for select invoice also. Yeah, you also need to select invoice, but you are not knock off the amount to the invoice because the invoice already settled. So yeah, you still need to select invoice. But it's just the invoice already fully settled. That's why you are not using CN. Okay. B2C, B2C is more easier lah. I mean, as if you sell to your own customer, if they are, if you are using post lah. If you are not using post, you still have to help them to submit. Okay. As you are a supplier, because you are selling stuff to your customer now, so you are their supplier. So is your buyer require e-invoice? If yes, you need to get their information. Then you have to do submission via our system. Then after that, you can share them the link or something they can access the invoice information themselves. Or if you are using post, they can scan the QR code themselves. Or sorry, or because the e-invoice there also have a QR code, right? They can scan the QR code and get the information from the LHDN. Yeah, so the buyer will able to sustain their tax transaction for the tax purpose on next year submission. I mean, 2025 submit for 2024, so next year submission for this year. Okay, so what if after you create the document, but your customer does not require e-invoice? So basically, you just issue the normal receipt to your customer. After that, at the end of the month, but not the last day. I mean, first of the month, maybe first of the month, 1 day, 2 days, or third day of the month, you should consolidate of the last month, combine everything, and submit together on money basic. So actually, this is not submit it on end of the month. It's supposed to be first suggested 3 days within 3 days of the first of the month. So after that, you just submit the consolidated e-invoice to LHDN, then that's all, end of story. This B2C actually for the Dynamod side, not for the post side. So I think that one will be covered later on. Okay. So B2C, when individual customer require e-invoice for Malaysian, we just need to get their TIN number and we need their IC number or either. I expecting both. So yeah, either one or both. On next year, government did mention they will have a something new apps right there where we can register and then we show a QR code to our merchant. We as if now my POV is I am a customer. I can download the app, register. I will get an account. I can show the QR code from the apps to the seller, the merchant. They scan my QR code. They will straight away know my TIN number, my IC number, etc., or my business account info. So they just scan it. It will automatically fill inside the system. So those we will implement on next year when government side application already released, because we doesn't know what info the QR code will be provided yet. But when we have it, instead of like we have to ask it one by one, we can just scan the QR code more faster. But for now, before government release the application, we have to ask our customer and fill in the information manually. Okay. So for non-Malaysian, it doesn't have the IC number for you, right? So that's where the general TIN number come from. So on the general TIN number, we can use the general TIN, but because they are foreigner, so we can get their passport or just TIN number. Or if you general TIN number, must insert passport number. So not both, and not either, have to be both. Okay, so for the post, yeah, finally to the post. Okay, so when the post you create, like customer walk into your counter, they buy something, post will have a receipt for them. Hmm? The graph a little bit on this method one, sorry. Okay, this method one, this is we help customer to submit. Okay, so customer buy something on the counter, they request e-invoice. So we get their information, we help them to fill in. After that, we can print the e-invoice to them. This one method, this first method, method one. Okay, so the flow will like go through this what we do on the post, and the post will sync with the Dynamod to get the information, sync the sales, everything. Yeah, start key, click reprint, fill in customer detail, submit info, e-invoice to LHDN, return the data return to post, then have the status to print document to the customer. Yeah. Actually, this is the roughly flow, give you a rough idea how the system works. But the simple part is, as long customer requests invoice on the counter, your counter's cashier staff can help them to fill in their information and then submit, and later on print the invoice for your customer. Okay, so how to do it? How your cashier can help the customer to key in the info manually. So at the post system, click the receipt button on the middle center there. So you will go to the reprint receipt screen, look for the receipt. If he was the last payment customer, usually he will be the first result. So you don't need to select anything. You just need to straight away click on the e-invoice. So on here, we can key in the buyer information. We have to get the information with our buyer. But again, as the information in the info I get, when next year government release the apps, we will do the integration with the apps also. The cashier is just like scan the QR code on the customer phone, all the information will automatically fill in. But that one is future thing lah. We need to wait until the government release the app first lah. If government suddenly U-turn, then yeah, we have to fill in manually. So on this screen, when after you submit the info, you also can know here whether it's submitted. If not submit, then you open submitted, validated, or rejected. It also will show a status here, so you know this document is what status. We actually have the function to send the receipt to our customer via email or via WhatsApp. If you doesn't know the function, because either you are on the old version, possible, that's why you doesn't know. But if you're on the new version, actually we have this function. We can click send via email or WhatsApp. Email is free. Email is free to use, but WhatsApp has to pay. It's not charged by us. It's charged by the service that help you to send the message out by per message. So yeah, yeah. So email is free. If you're interested to set up, then you can inquiry your salesman about it. By WhatsApp, if you want to know the pricing, you're able to inquiry your salesman as well. So we have this function to submit. So if by phone number, after you receive, you will get something like this: the receipt in PDF, and then some information. The template it will show here. Yeah, so this one is the one that I keep trying to want to say. This is the method to let the customer self-service. You don't need to help them to fill in anything, just ask them to self-service. When customer require an e-invoice on the post, you just print the receipt. The receipt below, you have a QR code. So customer just scan the QR code. It will bring them to our SAP website, Smart E-Invoice platform website. Customer key in their info, self-service, they key in their own info on the website, click submit, then the website will inform our system to do the submission. It will submit to LHDN, LHDN will give it the update. When our system detect the submission has been success, it will automatic like send the information to customer to let them know via email or WhatsApp as if customer did provide any while they key in the info here. So this is the best method. Just ask your customer self-service, unless it was auntie uncle, they doesn't know how to use a phone to scan and service those. So then that how the method one came. So your cashier have to help them to fill in the information. Okay, so for the SAP, so basically it's like customer scan the QR code, it will go to our SAP website. They request e-invoice, so they have to fill in their info. Info will sync back to the Dynamod via our API. And it will submit to e-invoice LHDN, and LHDN inform us. This is a sample receipt that provided to customer. If customer after print the receipt, I mean, on the cashier, walk in, pay on the counter print out, you will have an extra QR below. So scan below to submit invoice. Customer just use their phone to scan this QR. It will bring them to a website, our SAP, Smart E-Invoice platform. So they can key in their full name, their TIN number, whether they are Malaysian, and what type of registration number they're trying to use, IC or the passport, or if they're trying to claim as company, they should change it to company on the top. They can click company on the top, and then they fill in their company name, company TIN number, company BRN number, contact, those kind of info. So this is how self-service works. Okay, next we will talk about marketplace and your e-store. There's a different marketplace is the Lazada, Shopee, TikTok, and e-store is your own web store is linked directly back to you. It's not like handled by that like marketplace. Some platform will help you to handle everything. Okay, so for e-commerce transaction flow, when the customer purchaser purchase via the platform, so let's say Shopee, they buy on Shopee, Shopee will inform you, right? You are the seller. Shopee will inform you. Then you update everything. Good is so. The e-commerce platform will help you to submit invoice on behalf of you directly. So that's why you does not need to manually submit again. So there's a flow here. You can read it on the screen. Merchant will use the self-bill invoice to issue e-commerce platform as a proof of income. This one is kind of like consolidated when you get the payment from your e-commerce. E-commerce platform will issue e-invoice for charge imposed to merchant. E-invoice platform responsibility issue of e-invoice open request if customer request or receipt if the buyer doesn't request for e-invoice. So yeah, for anything that from Shopee, Lazada, TikTok, when they go to Dynamod, you should mark it as the customer, you should mark it as not applicable for invoice. So we doesn't submit again to HDN. So your company sales revenue won't be double when like on the government side. It won't to be get double entry. Marketplace. Yeah, so it mentioned again on the invoice here for your marketplace example, you have used our system integration, or even though you didn't, you manually key in. For sure, you have to create a customer ID for the marketplace, right? Make sure on the e-invoice here, you tick not applicable for e-invoice. So you doesn't double submit, you doesn't double entry. Okay. So when you create any document under the specific customer, on the e-invoice screen, it will treat it as not applicable. So it won't auto submit. You also not able to manually submit. Yeah. What if Site Giant or Shop to Go? This is considered your web store. It's not a marketplace. It's your own web store. You manage all by your own self. So for this customer, at the end, you are doing month-end consolidate, like the one how you do it on the post-cash sales consolidate. But this one is for the sales from the online store. So for this kind of online platform, you did have to submit to LHDN because Giant and Shopee, Shop to Go, it doesn't help you to submit invoice directly. So you have to console it and submit it yourself. But of course, when customer purchase anything from this site and they would want to having e-invoice, there is still method to do it. But I don't think it will be covered on this whole slide. So for that, you might able to inquiry with your salesman. Okay, so for the e-store, this is for how you handle the consolidate, I think, e-store buyer file. Okay, okay, sorry. Some of the e-store they can handle customer each by each. So like when go to Giant, I can register account and then purchase it straight away. The order will park under my account. Actually, I can maintain it manually straight away, like key info under the account. But some of the online store, it doesn't have customer account base. Then that one will be used a general one for when doing console. So some of the information those info you can key in here for e-invoice. The slide will share by you, so later you can like review it again about the information, the note on the screen, everything. Yeah. So let's say for from the ISO, if you have to submit, also able to submit, no problem. Yeah. Next, for e-invoice transaction flow, self-bill. This is like when you buy something from overseas or you self-bill the invoice because, like I said, your supplier wasn't start on January, it start on July. So you have to first 6 months you need to do your self-bill first. So yeah. Mm. Yeah. So this is the different. If your supplier will start on last year, August, they should already help you to create invoice for you. When you buy something with your supplier, they have issue the invoice for you already. So you don't need to submit invoice yourself. It's not self-bill. Your supplier handle for you already. But your supplier did not submit any invoice for you because they didn't enroll to the invoice or there was overseas supplier. You get after you get the document, key in the invoice, everything, you need to issue self-bill invoice to proof of purchase to the government. Yeah, so this is different. So what type of transaction are allowed to issue self-bill invoice? So currently on here we have based on our info, there is 8 type. There is 8 different type: payment to agent, dealer or distributor, etc. Goods sold or service by the foreign supplier. Anything about the goods or import service also. Profit distribution, e-commerce, payout, betting on gambling winner. Okay, transaction with individual, not because you when you're buying something not by business, they usually won't able to submit invoice also. So when you buy something with individual, you have to submit self bill, interest payment, and claim and compensate benefit payment from insurance business. This is for insurance business. Yeah, so as we know that this egg type, maybe there will be more. That one you have to inquiry with your tax agent. Okay, self-bill e-invoice transaction flow. So basically what we are doing is when supplier open bill for you, after you key in, you have to manually key in your some of the general information or you key in your supplier information if you're able to get it. After key in, then you submit and everything will respond to you. Basically, like how you fill in your customer info lah. If you did maintain it on your card file, then everything should be automatic fill in when you create document. Self-bill invoice overseas purchase. So your foreign seller sell you something, then they issue invoice to you. So after that, how do you issue the self-bill? So let's say you buy something here, and then cust pass by the custom on here, issue sale bill invoice in the following month. Once the custom clearance is obtained, so you get a notification of like the goods you buy from overseas already passed. Then because you're creating the document in within this date range, you have to submit at end of the month. Cross-border transaction, import of service. So just now is goods, so this one is service. You buy something, there's issue invoice for you. So this refer to your payment date or the invoice receipt date, whichever is earlier. Then you can issue sale bill on it within this period. Where sales tax on imports service is applicable, service tax amount required to include. So if the sale bill have tax, you need to include together. Basically, what means is when you buy something, let's say you get it on October, based on my own understanding, anything from import you get from October, most late you have to submit sales bill on end of next month. You buy something on 10 October, most late you have to submit at November. So there is different rules applied that where is local supplier or overseas supplier. This is based on our own understanding. Yeah, so yeah, we back to here again. So when your supplier has to be self-bill, when you set up the e-invoice info, you remember you have to take is a self-bill e-invoice supplier, then key in their information inside here. We just already go through this earlier, so yeah, it just like remind you. Okay, self-bill invoice, again, is something similar like how you create customer invoice, but usually supplier invoice, you doesn't need to worry if your supplier will create the the invoice to you. So it will automatically become not applicable. But when this is a self-bill supplier, then you will able the flow will automatically become open. Again, it's like the customer invoice where the normal stuff key in the document first. When then there will be a higher permission position staff manager to review the document, make sure everything is correct. Then only he change to ready to submit, or he can do manually submission. But also it will be labeled this is a self-bill invoice. Then below here, the information is again, if you did maintain it on your supplier card file, it will automatically copy over. If you did not maintain there, then you have to manually key in here. Same goes to the credit note. So again, basically the same thing. It's just that let me remind you again, if you're using credit note, that means your invoice has not yet fully paid. You're going to use CN to minus some invoice amount. That's why you're using credit note. But if let's say the invoice already fully payment, but you still get some refund from your supplier, you should use refund note. Basically the screen, everything basically the same, like it's just different purpose. One is for customer, one is for supplier. Okay, so a short video about how to issue self-bill invoice. Okay, so the e-invoice, right? Just now, at the end, it showed the e-invoice printing. Basically, the format is standardized for our template is standardized for all document. No matter you are using creating customer document or supply document, the layout will be same. But of course, you can like clone it and customize the report yourself, no problem. Yeah. So now for self-bill e-invoice, payment to your agent or dealer or other transaction that is allowed for self-bill. So yeah, this is how you proceed through the supplier flow and issue the payment voucher directly to the document. At first, your agent or your dealer, they open sales or the goods or service to the purchaser. So after that, you are billing to the agent or dealer. Yeah, so you are open a self bill here. Yeah, self bill payment voucher as if there is any like because you are trying to provide commission to your agent or something, you're trying to billing them or they're trying to bill you okay, because self bill. Yeah, so you are using other payment, you still have to select the payment method manually. Like usually, sorry, like usually, what method you're trying to use to like payment out? What is the amount you're trying to payment out? What is the account code and the amount? After that is almost same as the others. You have a tab. Sorry, yeah. Okay, go back first. So on here you can see there's an e-invoice tab here. The sample here it has been validated success. But if you click inside this page is about the same as the other document where it will show you the current document status is open already to submit, like the two-level control thing. Is a sale bill or not a sale bill, then it will become not applicable. The information of the um yeah, who you pay to, the information can fill in here because you're using other payment. So the information on the invoice here, you have to always select it yourself. You have to fill in it yourself. So the information here, you can fill in it yourself every time when you create other payment. Yeah, so if valid, then those link things, the UUID things, it will show. So as you can see, your supplier will automatic filling with the information you just provided in the invoice tab, the page. So after you submit to LHDN approve, return. This is the information will be shown on the invoice default template as if you're trying to print it. Basically the same thing lah, same as the others. It's just that the main thing is the supplier and the buyer information will be different based on what document you're trying to print. So a short video sample on how to issue payment voucher. So you can manually submit. If you don't want to wait, let the system auto handle for you, you can manually submit. So you get the result faster. If you get validated success, then you can straight away print out the e-invoice format. If it's not, then you have to wait until it get validated. Okay, so this is the part where I will confused as well. So let's go through this part together. So this is the transaction flow for this disbursement, reimbursement, the employee claim things. Uh, so how do you handle this kind of document? And what document you need to handle? What document you do need to handle? Okay, so the difference is is your company expenses or it was a claim from your mm, or it was a claim. Yeah, this is 报销, this is claim, this is your expenses. Yeah, the difference is out-of-pocket expenses incurring by the payer, paid to third party on behalf of the payer by the payee. Invoice issued under the payer name are not required to issue. Okay, or if this is out-of-pocket expenses incurred by payee in the course of rendering service of good to the payer, e-invoice issued under the payee, you are required to issue the e-invoice to recover the money. And the classification code is 027. Okay, how does these two works? So let's say on the first one, expenses thing. Okay, when your company, why is that not? When your company make payment on behalf of make payment on behalf of your customer, so you are the middle guy. You help your customer to pay to your supplier. Your supplier issue invoice to your customer directly. I mean, that means you are the middle guy. So you do not need to do e-invoice submission. You just like bill to your customer directly only. So this is the normal flow. E-invoice is not required to do submission, issue the transaction as normal process like payment voucher or supplier invoice flow. So this is just a normal flow. For this one, supplier A issue e-invoice in the name of my company for the goods sold or service. A company make payment to supplier A, but then I bill to my customer. Oh, so this one basically is the normal payment. This one is not normal, where your supplier provides the stock to your customer, but then you help your customer payment, then you charge back your customer. But by doing this, you do not need to do any invoice. But this is the normal flow where you supplier bill you, you pay to your supplier, and then you open bill to your customer. So this is where the invoice is have to be involved. So you have to bill your customer. So you need to understand the flow, like who bill to who. So then you whether you should like need to enable like issue invoice or not. Yeah, this submission process flow is same as customer invoice. So yeah, this is your customer, you're selling thing to your customer. So this is just like the normal flow. Reimbursement item classification 027 e-invoice issued by event planner A. This is sample lah. E-invoice issued by event planner A to Simon Chong, Samyang Berhad. Event planner A has incurred 30K rent to a hotel hall for product lunch event. The hotel smart hotel has issued invoice to, and then event planner A will require the rental cost and charge fee to Simon Chong. Event planner A will issue an e-invoice to Simon Chong. E-invoice will include separate line of item to clearly service fee. What is the service fee? What is the rental fee? Invoice sample. Reimbursement. Yeah, so this is the normal flow. This is the normal flow where the event planner will deal with the hotel. Then the hotel have to charge customer. So this is something like back charge to the customer. Okay, so service fee, the hotel rental fee, total how much. So how to just an example of this, how do you create a document to this is like when you create customer invoice, you create like normally, like your customer, what is the service you has been provided, and what is the item code here below actually is automatic based on the stock ID you selected. So that's why on some of the stock ID, you need to change the item classification code to, example, the normal one like service fee, we doesn't special charge, so it was 022. We didn't like special label it, so it's a 022. But for the rental fee, maybe it's a reimbursement. So you need to change this. You need to create an ID stock ID for this rental fee and change the classification ID to 027. So if you check on the e-invoice there, scroll all the way down, like what product you're trying to product do you trying to sell or service you're trying to serve to customer, if you have actually we are submitting this classification ID to government to LHDN, so it will show 027. So some field here also is the general field. So e-invoice format is about the same thing lah. So you have the UUID, you have your buyer information here. You are the supplier, so you buy if your buyer is this. What service or item you has been sell? Yeah, everything that after you submit to LHDN, if it was validated, if you're trying to scan the QR or you receive it on the MyInvoice portal manually, you can see the information of the document. So example, what service, what item you have been purchased or service, their classification code. You won't able to know the actual description or there is actually there is that they did capture. So it will show what service, what quantity, and what is the unit price amount and total. So this is what we will see on the MyInvoice portal if the customer decide to like check it themselves to make sure the info you provide is really valid one, not like just you randomly generate something manually and trying to fake it. So they can check it on MyInvoice portal, they can know the information. Um, Something like that. Okay, so what is like employee benefit and their expenses claim? What can be claimed is the telephone phone bill, petrol parking, toll claim, staff refreshment, entertainment claim, car maintenance. Some have a club membership or gym membership, professional subscription fee, and others. Those are able to claim. So it will be employee basic and benefit employee. One issued in the name of the employer. Employee are required to request for the invoice to be issued to their employer for proof of expenses. So okay, for those able to like you need to claim with your company, those invoice have to you need to help. Like okay, example, you go to fuel petrol. So after you fuel petrol, you will get the receipt, right? The receipt you need to submit under company, not your personal, because that's how you prove this is a company expenses. After that, you when you submit claim to your company will like pay back the claim to the staff lah, the employee. So we as a staff buy something and then the receipt we need to issue either e-invoice to our company and then we submit our claim to our company. So for this case, this is you directly submit it to the company. Another one is you issue it under your own name. Maybe it's something you can claim. There's some company like this. They have phone allowance to you, but of course, because the phone number is not provided by company, is your own self. So the phone bill will under your own name. Is still able your telephone provider, telco provider will issue the bill under your own name, right? So after that, you still can like claim to your company because there's a record that you are this company staff. So you are still allowed to claim it. Okay, so this is the claim process. Do your staff want to claim back the expenses? If your staff doesn't need to claim it, then no invoice is involved. But if he want to claim it, is the invoice is under the staff name, yes, then nothing need to do. If not under the employee name, is the is the bill when billing is under the company name? If yes, then nothing need to do. If it's not under the company name, is it under your staff name? If yes, nothing need to do also. But if it's not under the staff name also, then is there any supporting document? If yes, the supporting document as in to prove it, the bill is for this staff. If yes, then nothing need to do. If no, this is where you need to submit the invoice. But if all of those below here is valid, then nothing need to do. You do not need to submit any invoice as company because those expenses will able to prove as the company expenses. You don't need to submit invoice separately manually. So for claim, as long as under company name or under staff name, you do not need to submit invoice. But when it wasn't under your staff name and not under company name, there's no proof that this is for company or staff, then you have to submit, create invoice for it. Okay, so this one should should be the claim thing lah. So when you create the payment voucher, select you can manually key in who you are trying to pay to, how you pay, and what it is for. So this is the claim, not your staff claim. So you put under which account code or how many amount they claim. Dynamod e-invoice dashboard and submission flow. Okay. Oh, so this part is where you can able to see like all your document, what has not been submitted, what has been submitted but not result yet, what already submit and have result, is valid, invalid, or you manually cancel it, expired, kind of thing. So that's we will talk about the dashboard thing. Okay, so we have there's uh process profile and dashboard. Okay, so they put the profile on here. Okay, so we have this dashboard. Just like I just mentioned, like what we can see, what we can inside the dashboard, and the submission. You also can do submission directly on the dashboard, no problem. Your consolidated e-invoice also is do they did cover it on this slide. I mean the step after this. Okay, to access the dashboard, you're actually going after you log into Dynamod, go to the main menu, access to E-Invoice Malaysia, go to transaction, and you will be able to see. Oh, this is not about dashboard first, sorry. They're actually trying to ask you to create the process profile. Okay, a little bit breakdown about like the little bit info about what is process profile. It's something like company financial year. For company financial year is 1 year, one time, right? Maybe January until December or July until June, something like that. But for e-invoice, we have to submit every month. So for that period, we calling it process profile. It's something like your GST or SST filing where it was like every 2 months, one period. But for e-invoice, this process profile is 1 month each. So on here, you have to prepare first. Like now is November. If you want to able to see your November document and you want to allow your November document able to submit e-invoice, you must have a process profile under November. You can create the period on at once. So now it's November, you can create December first, no problem. If you want to create until 2025 December, also can, no problem. You can create it at once, but it will be a little bit messy. I'll let you know why. Okay, so first we must set up the process profile first by clicking this. So it will bring you to the process profile screen. On here, first time, of course, you are going to click new and save it. Once you have a base document, maybe it will showing as you starting at 2024 August 1, no problem. You just leave it. After that, once you have the base document, the first document after you have plus new, just save it straight away. Just save it. You just need to click more, new next. So the information, the description, the ID and the description will automatically fill in nicely for you. Then you can click save. So the first document is August, save, more, new next, save, then you have September. Click more again, new next, you have October, save. Click more again, new next, then you have November, save. Click more again, new next, then you have December. You can use this method to create your This is what we call E-Invoice process profile E-Advance. You can keep creating it. You can create all the way until 2025 December, no problem. But I will suggest you not to create too much E-Advance, maybe 3 months or maximum 6 months E-Advance to make it less messy. I'll let you know why. Also, on the process here, you can manually edit the record and mark it as process or closed. That means settled already. Or because you create it in advance, you also can make it block. So the profile is not able to process that because you create the profile in advance. You also can lock the month. So no document can be like touched in this specific month period. You cannot submit or anything. You can lock it. It's something a little bit like the financial year where you also can lock the period. Okay, so now you have the period. We can go to the dashboard. Is on your invoice Malaysia, your transaction, and beside the process profile, you have this invoice dashboard. So click the dashboard. It will open the dashboard screen. This is where your profile ID will be shown. The last one always show on the top. So this is where I say it will become messy. If you create until 2025 December, the first row will become 2025 December. Then November, October, September, August, from the latest until the oldest. If you create too much profile ahead at once, then on here it will be a little bit messy. So that's why I suggest you maybe 3 months or 6 months at once, so it won't like too far away. Okay, depends which month data you're trying to view. Maybe let's say now is November. I want to view my November data. I just have a tick on my November profile and then click refresh data. It will bring us to the second page, transaction overview. When you open dashboard, you are at the first page. Then select, have a tick, refresh data. You can take multiple months also lah, but that one maybe when you do it, when you're trying to review. But if you're trying to do submission, I will suggest you only select month by month lah. Okay, select the month, refresh data, and we will go to the second page, the second tab, where on here you can see what document has been created but not yet verified. That means like your staff just created, the manager level staff not yet review the document, so it's not ready to submit. It still stay under open. Yeah, and ready to submit. Invalidation means already submit to LHDN, but LHDN not able to directly return the result to you. Maybe because due to their server is busy, so you did not get the result yet. So it will parking as invalidation. No, this is not consolidated. Yeah, and then okay, for the invalidation, so this is a list of invalidation or valid. Those documents already valid. Those documents currently already invalid because after you submit, but it wasn't valid, mean something wrong. So it become invalid. Supposedly your invalid should be 0 lah. That means all your document is become nicely. But if it was invalid, maybe you need to take time to faster log into it. We also actually, as you can see, there's a submission remaining time. You can know like how many days left you have to like faster submit it. But if for those already expired, after you submit it, will when to expire. So those will become not valid document. You did not submit to the LHDN. Yeah. Not applicable, to those are not applicable document and expire document. Uh, I think they didn't mention the shortcut here. So, okay, example, on here, open and ready to submit. On this screen, let's say you are the second level person. You are the manager. You already review all those documents and you can confirm that those documents you want to do submission and you want to one shot submit it all, no problem. At this screen, you can highlight multiple documents or just straight away Control A to highlight every document. You can right click and then submit. You can one shot submit all the document on this screen, no problem. This is the dashboard to view all your current document. Based on the status is still open, just created, not yet submit, ready to submit, invalidation already submitted but not valid, valid, invalid, not applicable document, and expired document. Mean you already passed 3 days, you fail to submit, so it become expired. Yeah, so this is our dashboard. You also have a report to, if you want to print out the listing, you also can do it by go to E-Invoice Malaysia, the report, and go to E-Invoice Transaction Listing. E-Invoice Transaction Listing, we allow you to print out in listing. On here, you have some option to be choose. You can filter by location, you can filter by date range, your e-invoice flow, I mean the status, you can filter the status. Maybe you only just want a list of valid document list, so you can filter the status. You also can filter the document type. You also can select the document type below here. And depends, you want to print it out, or you want to preview it, or you want to save it directly. Again, for those who doesn't know, maybe you are using a really old version. This save as button also is a new function on the new version, where you, instead of you have to preview first and then click on the top left to save as, now we can straight away click save as to directly save as PDF or Excel. It's available on new versions, start on 2024.2 if I remember correctly, or 2024.1. Yeah. Yeah, so this is a small screenshot about if you're trying to filter e-invoice document overflow, this is a selection you have. And if you're trying to select the document type, this is the document type you can select. The document type is not our system document. Our system document is below here. But the one e-invoice document type is the one government label as. Okay, so this is a sample after we trying to preview the listing. So this is grouping by flow status. You can see by open status how many documents we have, the document date under which date, and how many days left for submission. And submitted, waiting for result, valid, invalid, those kind of info it will be showing here. This is a sample of the report. Okay, so a little bit video of introduce the dashboard. Yeah, you can right click action and submit. You can do it one by one, or you want to like control A, select all also can. You also can double click and it will straight away open the document for you. So you don't need to go to the specific document type and look for the document, search for the document. You can just double click on the dashboard, it will open the document for you. Dynamod E-Invoice submission flow. Okay, so this is the month-end consolidation. Yeah, this is where the console part. Okay, let's say this error, this is the October month. This is the October month. All the transaction create under October, you have to submit within 7 days of the from on the next month. So that means you must at least submit on November 7. But this is the last day to issue e-invoice. What if you submit on this day, you submit to LHDN, LHDN reject you, then your e-invoice consolidated invoice is straight away considered as failed. If you forget, if you didn't notice it invalid, on the next day, in November 8, you are not allowed to submit it again. Even though it was within 3 days, but because the rule is within 7 days. So by right, most late, you should submit on November 5 or November 4. November 4, you should already create your consolidated e-invoice to console your cash sales. So after you submit it, if anything invalid, you are still able to have 2 days to recorrect it, 3 days to recorrect it, and then submit it. If you submit on this last day, then anything wrong, if government reject, then yeah, this is you may need to inquiry support how to handle it. There is a reason why we suggest you to do consolidate on November 3 or November 4 or maybe November 5 because some of your customer they maybe visit your shop at October 31. Let's say they walk into your outlet at October 31 or you create invoice to your customer at October 31. So by right, there is 3 days for them to submit invoice, right? So if let's say they walk into your outlet, they buy something, you give them the receipt have a QR code, they're supposedly to have 3 days to scan the QR code and submit the invoice result. If you consolidate straight away on November 1, that means when he trying to scan the QR code on the receipt, it will become invalid because you console it already. So that's why you should leave it a little bit space for customer able to scan the QR on the receipt. Maybe he doesn't do it on the same day. He do it on the next day or next day. Okay. So that's why you need to leave it a tiny bit space for them and you can do console at maybe 3rd of the month, 4th of the month, or 5th of the month. Okay. So how you create consolidate invoice? You can go to E-Invoice Malaysia, go to transaction, and go to E-Invoice Consolidate Invoice on here. Okay, so just below the dashboard here. Okay, so after you click open, you can just go to more, generate consolidate invoice. If you go through a wizard, yes, for the first page, it's just like a welcome page. You just can you just directly click next. Sorry, the next page is here. Okay, so after you click next, this is the next page. You just have to select the profile ID, like which month you're trying to do consolidate. If now is December 3, or sorry, December 4, I'm trying to submit my November sales. So I just tick November and then click next. Hey, November, yep, correct. Okay. And then what type I'm trying to do console. So by default, usually we do console because it was a cash sales. Like they walk into your outlet, your branches. So you're trying to console all those cash sales where customer did not claim e-invoice themselves. So you have a tick on cash sales. Do not tick both. You have to do it separately. Do not tick both. Do it separately. Because if you see it below here is mentioning customer invoice. I explain it later. Do it separately. Tick cash sales first. Next. So we will go to the next screen. Which location you're trying to console their cash sales? You can tick the master tick on the top if you select everything, or you can select separately one by one. Maybe some of the location, there won't be any cashews inside. Maybe it's your warehouse. Your warehouse only like keeping the quantity in and out. There's no cashew involved, so you doesn't need to console for it, right? So you can skip select your warehouse. Just take the location where you have post or where you did create cashews manually. Then you can click next. Okay, it will come to the next screen, consolidate invoice, where on here you should click simulate. So it will simulate and generate the consolidated invoice. Click yes. Now you will be able to know how many document, sorry, consolidated invoice document it will be created. So it will based on document year, month, underscore, location name, underscore, sorry, location ID, underscore, document type, CS is a Cassius, underscore, 01 supposed to be the terminal ID, I think, then underscore, the currency, underscore, and the document. The document running number based on the months. Okay. So you can see the location ID, the consolidated batch number. So this is the batch number last one. How many document inside that being console and what is the total amount. Basically, after you simulate, click on, sorry, basically you just click simulate, click yes, the result come out, you can click next already lah, basically, for easy to understand. After that, you can click, you will come to the last screen, you can click generate. You sure you want to generate? Of course lah. click yes, then process complete. You can now click finish. It okay. This screen a little bit messy. I use back the old screen. Okay. So early just now, this is the screen where we click in the consolidated invoice. The screen. So below here, if you search percentage, all your consolidated invoice will show here. On the new version on this screen, it will automatically fill in the year and month for you. Like example 202411, you just click the enter logo. It's currently blocked by this menu. You click the enter logo, it will show the specific month consolidated invoice only, so that you can view your consolidated invoice here. You can then highlight the invoice and click invoice action to do submission. Yes, you hear it right. After you generate the consolidated invoice, you have to select the document, more e-invoice action, and submit the document. You by doing the step earlier just now, it just helping you to generate a console invoice. You still have to submit the console invoice to LHDN. That it was two separated steps. So this is the step just now I mentioned. Search percentage, it will show everything, or you just search by the month like 202411 or 202412 to see the specific month document only. Click the enter logo. So after that, you can highlight the document and do the submission. Okay. So next is a same demo. Like after you click the submit, it show you this screen. You can click submit document. Are you sure you want to submit? Yes. And wait for the result. It's validate. You will get those UUID, the link, and it will tell you submission complete. Click OK, and then done. You can close it. It was telling you submit document process complete, but it was not valid. It was submitted. It was due to the LHDN side, the server is busy, so it does not able to give you the result directly. Just wait for a while, maybe half hour, 1 hour, or up to few hours, depends how busy their server is. Eventually, you will get the result, whether it will valid or invalid. You will get the result later on. So how do you check the result? Go back to the dashboard just now. We mentioned about the dashboard, so you can view on the dashboard. After validate success, if you want to print it, you also can print it out. Or there's a sample, yes. So you can print out, select the invoice, then it will show. It will be, because this is console, so it was general info. And the row inside, the detail inside of the document was based on each one row, one date. November have 30 days. So inside we'll have 30 rows. Each row represent one day and how many total quantity. The quantity, sorry, how many total amount of the day, the sale of the day that not yet doesn't have customer request invoice. Quantity is always one, it's just like unit price equal to that day total sales. You will fill in here. So a little bit info for you to know. Consolidated e-invoice, the buyer info is something like this. But when you do the generate consolidated invoice, those info we already help you to autofill in. It's just info to let you know what info we has been used or government provided to us for us to when we submit invoice, the console invoice. Yeah, if the once document submit, the customer can scan the QR code. Once the e-invoice have been submitted, they can rescan again. They will get back to their own info. It doesn't matter if it was console or they submit themselves, because this one just now we mentioned this is for the whole system, right? They walk into the outlet, then they submit on outlet there. Okay, they scan it, they fill in their own info. When they scan the QR code again, if the e-invoice is validated, then they will see this something like this. Your e-invoice ready. They can click download now to get the soft copy directly on their own phone, or they can fill in their email address and send to their email. Yeah, a sample of showing how to generate the console. So generate complete, finish. Yeah. So basically, you can consider it as a normal flow, like how you create your customer invoice. Just select the document, more action, submit, and then the same process. Yeah. Okay. So what is the seven instructive that not allowed to issue consolidate e-invoice? So when if your business is doing motor vehicle sales, you are doing air ticket or private charter sales, you are doing luxury goods or jewelry, you are doing construction contractor, you are wholesale retailer or construction material, you are a licensed betting or gambling business, your payment to agent, dealer, or distributor, those are not allowed to console. You must submit it one by one with their info inside. Okay, interim relaxation period. Okay, so this is about the grace period. Things like if you start e-invoice on January, you have 6 month grace period that allow you to submit console invoice. Best thing is you don't submit console invoice at all. I mean, sorry, to be clear, this console invoice is for B2B, not B2C. So if best thing is for B2B, you actually have 6 month grace period for it to do the console. But the best thing is you don't do any console at all. That means all your record is nicely. But just in case there is really some case that the B2B document, the invoice, after you have been created, something wrong in the middle, you're not able to submit it in time, you are allowed to submit console invoice for those B2B in this 6 month grace period, in this 6 month only. After this 6 month, if you submit it, actually, it's not a popular one, not a popular one. You might get invited by LHDM to drink coffee together, have some chit chat. Okay. Um. Yeah. So this is some explanation about the 6 month grace period thing. Actually, should be B2B lah. They reuse the screenshot. Okay. For grace period, that one actually, it doesn't have any wizard to help you generate it directly. You have to fill in the info yourself. So just in case you have to create any B2B console invoice, you can go to E-Invoice Malaysia, go to transaction. You will see this E-Invoice grace period, and this is where you can submit the console invoice for grace period. This is normal console invoice or sale bills invoice. Because again, different type. This is for customer type, and another one is for supplier type. Yeah, you are paying or you are receiving payment. Okay, select the correct type. Okay, on top, or yeah, for about this, you need to purposely need to create a customer profile and name it general public and fill in this information. Buyer name is general public. Buyer team is the GT10. You can click the logo beside GT10. It will fill in for you. Registration number, just put an A. The others, address, contract, email, SST, also just put an A. Yeah. Without the double quote, just the information inside without the double quote. Okay. After that, you can fill in. You have to manually calculate like what item inside those invoice you fail to submit. You need to key in the item and combine the total amount. Let's say you have three invoice, both three invoice have the selling the same item. You have to manually sum up the total and fill in the price here, unit price. Sum up here. So it's not per document base or per customer base. It was like you need to manually total up the item you fail to submit. Okay, so total up the item, select the item, total up the pricing, then you can just like save the document and submit it. Okay, so sorry, for the next page, the next slide is for actually this second tab. You saw currently we're on the detail. This is where we key in our stock info. We can click e-invoice. So if you go to this page, so actually it did indicate like what document type you're trying to submit as a console. You are submit it as a invoice or a credit note console or a debit note console or a refund note console. Yeah, so you must select the correct one. So that means like even though your credit note failed to submit within 3 days, so it expired already, right? You can use this console invoice to submit credit note, and then you can fill in the item inside. Sorry, something to add on. Other than select the stock ID on this screen, for accountant or for business who doesn't involve any item, you just straight away parking under account code. Yes, you can do it on here also. If by default after you open this screen, you doesn't saw the column where it's like account number bracket item, you can just right click on any column chooser. You will get a small window open. Look for account number bracket item. You can drag the column up and then you can select your account code straight away from there. So it was like use account code because maybe you didn't provide any physical item. So that's why you're using item code. Also can, no problem. Just remember the unit price here is the summary of it, not each of it, summary of it. Yeah, so just now the screen now we mentioned we need to fill in, select the document type, you need to fill in the general info here, then finally you can click more E-invoice action, submit invoice, and the same step again. Submit document, are you sure you want to submit? Yes, submit complete, and see whether it was submitted, valid or invalid. So it's the same thing. Okay, so for the self-billing, basically the same, but just different purpose. This one is for self-billing. Also same, you have to select the general public and the stock info here. If you are not using stock, you can right click column chooser, call out the account number bracket item, the column, so you can select account code directly, no problem. Oh yeah, sorry. One thing to add on. If let's say you have multiple location, one in one console invoice, no matter it's self bill or just the normal, just the earlier one for the customer, the console invoice is one document, one location. If you have six location, each location have their invoice, B2B invoice that expired. You want to console it, sorry, you have to create 6 console invoice separately with their own correct location. Okay. Yep, about the same thing, but this for the self-bill invoice, self-bill credit note, debit note, refund note. Shouldn't be not applicable lah, because if not applicable, then why you want to submit? Okay. Mm, yeah, oh, okay, we have come to the end. So yeah, that's all for the slide I would want to share for today. So we are finally until the FAQ section. I believe you all have a lot of questions to be asked. You can ask away now, fire in the chat. Our agent will respond to your question and answer it. Any question? Wow, this is whether you can share the slide and recording to yes, of course. Once the recording is ready, we will share the link to salesman. You can request with salesman again. if the Zoom email auto email doesn't send you the link together, then you may request with salesman because I'm not sure whether we can blast the email or not, but if can, then we will blast for you. Or if cannot, then you may request with salesman. If you didn't receive it like within maybe 3 days, you can request with salesman. We can provide you a link to like download the whole recording section. No problem. Oh, the UN the UN things, right? Government actually didn't like enforce to start using it yet. So currently we actually skipping about it. So we are actually submit every UN SNA. You can ignore it for now until we get informed from LHDN they're forced to update the UN. But let's say okay a little bit info like why we're skipping the UN because like the UN list that government provided actually very funny. It did not provide all of the common UN. Like example, carton. They don't even provide you a carton UN in the list. So what if you stock in with carton? How do you submit to government? They did not provide the UM. So it's a very funny thing. Somehow when they're using the UM, right, they are using ID, a classification code kind of ID for it. It not like directly key in the alphabet CTN or pattern like full name. We're using ID, a numbering. So it did not provide us like common UM that don't even provide to us. So we are not like it can be we cannot submit those invoice, right? So for now we are actually ignoring it. So you can straight away submit directly without like have to amend the UN things. Tuesday video. Yeah, you maybe you can inquiry to your the salesman. Then see whether they should have the link for you or something. Yeah. Where to get the announcement? Announcement about if one of our director want to claim for company car maintenance, but we do not pay any salary, we should issue self bill under his name. Good question. Like agent, Agent Wallace, respond. Can Dynamod do console self bill now? If you cannot found in the letters, console self bill in within the grace period. Yes. If you didn't saw it, maybe you are not in the letters version. Maybe you are still 2024.3, but not the letters hotfix. Maybe you can try update to it. Salary, how to key in? Just key in manually. Sorry, just key in usually. Nothing special need to handle for the salary because that one is company expenses. Who should we consult for help? Um, Supposedly if on related to Dynamo side the document or the step for it, then you can consult us. But if you confused about what have to be taxed, what not to be taxed, what need to be submit, then maybe you should consult with your tax agent. Your Dynamo version already 224 fix one. The latest supposedly you should show it on the invoice Malaysia transaction grace period. You should show it inside. But if you doesn't, then maybe have a call to our support. Then let them team viewer have a look. You can purchase the e-invoice module at once, no problem. On the e-invoice license, we will set it. It was starting on July 1 instead of the purchase date. So no problem. You can like purchase early and get ready earlier. For about the recording video, I will check with my team again, like how they handle it. I did record everything locally. So once the video is done rendering, I will provide them the video. They should be upload somewhere and they will provide the link. Like I'm not sure how they blast the link to all of you, but yeah. If you did not receive any link in like maybe 3 days, do inquiry the salesman. They should have the link after that. Cleaner lady, it depends like whether to them because you are paying for them. Cleaner lady is considered uh your your supplier. If they didn't bill you, then yes, you need to do self bill. If the cleaner lady is from a company, supposedly the company will bill you. The company will open invoice for you. You don't need to do anything. But if the cleaner lady is like personal, then yes, you need to do self bill. Because you need to do um you need to let the LHDN know your expenses of your company. So yes, you need to submit even if it was individual. Foreigner also can, no problem. It's just like maybe based on the passport. If local, then their IC plus the TIN number. If foreigner, then their passport plus the general TIN. GT40, I think just now we mentioned. For sandbox setting, you can consult your salesman. People consider as what you may suggested. Ready because some credit note did not match the invoice number. Customer returned summon letter because leaking what damage. Customer. That's the rule from LHDN when you provide CN. Supposedly the CN will have to link with the invoice. You're creating CN because the invoice is not fully paid. That's why you use CN. If the invoice already fully paid, then you should use refund note. But for your case, you mentioned you have the CN, but you don't have the invoice number. By right, like you return the amount due to which invoice. So let's say the invoice already paid. That's why you need to create a CN, and you're thinking like the current method, like the old method. You're thinking like the old CN, the old in sorry, the old invoice you already fully payment. So something wrong with the part that returned to you after few months. So you have a CN. For now, the current practice, you have a CN. But because the old invoice already settled, so you are waiting for the future new invoice to knock off, right? But because currently government separate it. So when you're trying to do a CN return the amount to your customer, supposedly you need to do refund note to and link to the invoice that already fully payment. You need to return the amount and not like parking the amount and wait for next future invoice to knock off. Because government require the CN when submit and the refund note when submit, it need to be included with the invoice number also. I'm not sure about the sandbox. I mean, yes, you can purchase earlier, you can fill in info earlier, no problem. But about the sandbox, I personally not sure about how you like wait for others agent to respond to you for this question. Sorry. Refund not if it okay for the refund not if it involve item, that means like customer did return you physical item, yes, you can issue by stock item. If customer did not return you any physical item, you can just key in as an account code. So is the time is 1 o'clock 1 and 20 minute. If everyone don't have any more question, then we will be ending here. Because I believe like not yet start touching system, you also doesn't know like what question you may ask. You need to like hands on first before you understand what question you have to ask. But no worry. You actually you can start doing e-invoice setting without the license. I believe you can enable the setting first. Then you can start fill in your customer info. It's just that without the license, you are not allowed to do any submission. So yes, you can prepare just now the step. There is a step to do bug update by using the Excel, right? You can do that first. All of those, no problem. You can ready first. It's just that you are not allowed to submit e-invoice. So you can like try it, and then when you're doing it, you face any issue, no worries. We still have upcoming. We still have two more webinar. You can ask it on the webinar, or you can straight away ask contact support and ask about it, or contact salesman ask about it. If you're giving rebate or discount, yes, that one is supposed to be refund, not credit note anymore, because it's straight away credit note B2C. Or that one is respond to another one. I'm not sure. Refund not only via balik in money, credit cashback, debit sales. Or if your rebate or discount is from the not pay invoice, then yes, it's a CN. But if invoice already fully paid, then you're giving rebate or discount. Refund, right? No. Yeah. Invoice thì không đâu. Đúng rồi, còn trên tôi cũng sẽ mình bảo. Okay, let my agent handle it. My agent, those agent that typing is more knowledgeable than me. Sorry. Okay, so basically, I think that's all question for now. Let's go to next slide. Um, yeah. Our own next coming webinar section a little bit too near, but because we want to provide the webinar as soon as possible. So for those who are starting e-invoice at January 1, you will have about like 3 weeks more after the webinar. You still have 3 weeks. to like key in the information to try it out. Like if you need a sandbox, then you may inquiry with the salesman. So you have 3 weeks to play around. That's why we're making the webinar so early on the December. It's just like 2 weeks later on. Yeah. So for the mentoring section is on December 10, which is Tuesday, I believe. And for the English section is 12/12, double 12, is Thursday. So after end of this, I will consult my teammate, my colleague, like how last time they provide the video and this slide we will provide to you. If you want the webinar link, yes, actually you can already start register it for for the next webinar, no problem. If you did not receive any link about this, the next webinar, you can inquiry with salesman. They have the link already, should be. Because we already blast the December webinar link from last week already. So supposedly they have that, and you can inquiry with salesman. So basically that's it. It's almost 3 hour section. Again, thank you everyone for joining in. So that's all from me today. I will see you guys when I see you. Thank you for joining in, guys. Uh,